nossa base é sempre o YouTube. Hoje fazemos direto porque geograficamente era impossível. O Travante está em Lisboa, não é fácil nós irmos lá, não é fácil ele vir cá, e por isso optamos por fazer à distância, e por isso optamos por fazer em direto. Pronto, eu vou passar agora a falar em inglês para que o Travante nos possa, como é óbvio, perceber, e toda a gente também que nos acompanha possa perceber tudo que se vai aqui passar.
Sérgio, deixa-me só dar aqui uma introduçãozinha também, pedido de desculpa no YouTube. Começou um bocadinho mais tarde porque é a primeira vez que nós estamos a fazer isto e é a minha primeira vez que sou eu que estou a transmitir para o YouTube. Começamos um bocadinho mais tarde, mas estamos em direto, está tudo a funcionar direitinho. Segue a viagem.
Okay, Travante, so I've introduced people to what's going to happen, and they already know that we'll be talking in English for tonight. Well, we always start these talks with the person, the athlete, introducing himself, telling everybody a little bit about his career and how we got here. So that's exactly what I'm going to ask you, to introduce yourself to the people who don't know you. This channel, in case you don't know, we try to reach as much different sports as we can. But as you may have learned by now, Portugal is basically soccer, and our fan base is basically soccer. But surprisingly, one of the main videos that we have with most views is from basketball. It's a game where you actually play between Sporting and Deliverance, and the interview with Barbosa. So high hopes, and please introduce yourself to the people who don't know you.
Olá, meu nome é jogador de Sporting, número 0. But I'm Travante Williams from Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. Been in Portugal for the last 4 years, playing in Portugal. Used to play for Oliveirense, won 2 championships there. Now I'm playing for Sporting, and that's pretty much the me for the last couple of years. So that's me.
So you came to Portugal 4 years ago to Oliveira das Meias. I was muted here, so people, you could hear me, but people at home don't. But I was saying that you came here 4 years ago. We will get to the specifics of that, of how you came here, who brought you here, and how did you feel for the first few months. But let's start way back. Let's start in the beginning, of course. Back in America, you mentioned that you are from Alaska. Tell us how it was like to grow up in Alaska, because I believe that, like me, most people here in Portugal, everything we know from Alaska we learn in the movie Into the Wild, and actually not much. So please tell us what was like to grow up in Alaska and how you end up with basketball and not something else, another sport.
Well, okay, so starting off, born and raised in Alaska. My family moved up there from New Orleans. There was like an opportunity to make money there, so that's where all my family was at. So growing up there, it's a big state, one of the biggest state, and it's very diverse. So there's a lot of people that live there. So growing up, I didn't really realize that like I was the outsider. So I'm thinking that I knew everybody, all types of people, and kind of going to college and stuff like that, you get to experience more stuff. So I was able to see more and understand, okay, Alaska's kind of small. So it's a really small state as far as people and population. So getting exposure and gravitating towards basketball is like, that's what something like my brothers play basketball. My family's not big on sports really, but my brothers played at a young age, so that's kind of what drew me to it. And I had a lot of friends that played basketball, so that's something that kind of just built up over time, just gravitating towards basketball as a youngin'. And then for keeping going, it was just more like, what do I want to do in my life? What's working for me? And basketball was always there. So that got me able to travel and play in different places, go to different colleges and stuff like that. So I got to see the world playing basketball, and that's what stuck to it.
You started playing in Alaska, but I made a little research, and you the first record I found of you is with the San Francisco Rams.
Yeah,
Um,
that was my my second or third year in college. I went to San Francisco City junior college, and we had a very successful year there. But before that, I played in College of Alameda, so it was another college in the San Francisco Bay Area. I played there for a year and a half, and was able to move on and play for a different team, and that's kind of been the basis of it, just playing and trying to level up each year.
so while you were playing in the United States, have you played with someone that people may know from the NBA, for instance, or something like that?
Well, I mean, I've played in a lot of gyms where there's been NBA players. I know a couple of guys personally, just through playing basketball. So I've been in the open gyms and stuff, and played with a lot of guys, kind of younger guys that maybe a lot of people may not know. But I've been acquainted with a few guys. You know, as far as I've been getting better, I've been able to meet new
Yeah.
friends. So it's been a good thing.
Well, after these starting years in basketball, in American basketball, you moved to Europe. You actually moved to Georgia.
Yeah.
That's what I found out. And how does this happen? I believe it's the second tier in Georgia where you play, second
Yeah,
division.
so after I get out of college, I signed with an agency, Durant International, and from there I kind of waited, and we weren't able to find something. So I actually reached out to one of my friends, and he was signing and playing in Bulgaria, and his agent was able to look into some things for me and throw my name into something, and somehow my name came up. And so when January came around, I got a phone call or an email, actually a message on Facebook, and they were telling me like, hey, we got this, we got $300 for you. We can fly you out in the next couple of days. Are you willing to come? And I was like, yeah, it was my first offer, first everything. So I was like, yeah, I was excited about it. And I told them, yeah, I'll fly out now. And they sent the ticket, and I ended up going and playing out there, and it was the second league in Georgia. So there's two leagues out there. There's the Super League and the A League, and I played in the A League for a couple of months.
Well, how was it? I'm curious about how was it in Georgia, because most people have not a very good image of the country, and well, you being from Alaska, probably the climate wasn't.
The climate wasn't crazy. It snowed. It snowed. We went through snow, and it was cold for parts of the winter. I got there in January, and I
Yeah.
left in March. So I went through the winter and stuff there, and the whole country was nice. It was a beautiful country, but where I was at was just kind of a place that wasn't really like, it was far away from the city. I was like 30 minutes away from a McDonald's, so like everything was kind of far away from me. So I was kind of like sheltered in this place where I just had to all I had to do was play basketball, and that was kind of all I had at that time. So, but it was nice. It was a great experience, and I really enjoyed myself. I met some good people, and I had.
How about competition? How is the competition there?
Well, surprisingly, most people see it in there. They think that it's very low, and there was some talented guys out there that I played against. So, and like I was doing a lot of scoring and carrying the load, so it was like every night you still had to go play, because in order for your team to win, you kind of had to put up numbers and have the time. So that was kind of the basis for me. It was competitive every night, because there was guys that didn't want you to do well. So it was competitive for me.
Okay, so after those few months in Georgia, you find your way to Portugal to join. Well, I don't know if we can. People will probably hate on me, but I don't know if we can say that Oliveirense is a huge team. It's certainly they are two-time champions, and as of right now, they are the champions because there are no champions from last year.
Oh,
But they are financially and everything else. They are a few steps behind teams like Porto, Benfica, now Sporting. But how did you find your way to this small city in the north of Portugal?
I mean, it found me. It found me. I did what I had to do in Georgia. After I left Georgia, I went off and I did a workout in Spain for a little bit, and when I came back that summer back to America, my agents like September came around and they found me. I still don't know how they found me or anything like that. So hats off to Noverto and them over there in the Oliveiras, but they found me and that's what drew me to Portugal.
Yeah, Barbosa told us that it was. This is my daughter's basketball. It's very masculine, and I was just playing with it. But Barbosa told us that it was it was Oliveirense's manager who
Mm-hmm.
found you. I don't know if that's true or not, but finding a player of your caliber in the second league of Georgia probably takes a lot of work and a lot of digging. But you came here to Oliveira das Meias. You you made an impact. I don't know if you saw the video of Barbosa talking about the first few days of you
Yeah.
here training with the team, and if you could understand everything that he said, they were kind of shocked with you as a whole, not as just as a player. And he told us a lot of stories that made us reach to you to have you here. But tell us about your first impressions of I say our city because I live here,
Yeah.
but the first impressions of this city.
Well, coming into Portugal, I actually had met a group of like kids that were coming from America. They were like in a trip, so like they already kind of knew who I was, and they were like just so happened to be Oliveira fans. So like it all kind of like I had the warm welcoming in New Jersey before I even caught them, and it was nice, man. It was my first time actually feeling like I'm playing for something that's real. So it was a great experience getting there, coming to Portugal. I'm looking things up, not knowing, and just like the drive from Porto to Oliveira was very nice. I'm looking outside, and it was beautiful outside. So, and then there was a game. It was the game they played Benfica that same day. So it was like, I show up and I'm thinking I'm about to play right now, but I just like put a jersey on and stuff. And everything was cool, man. It was warm, welcoming. Everything was great, and I couldn't complain. Everything was nice.
So you lived here for around 2 years. We'll go um, in a few moments. We will talk a little bit about the specifics of the city, and I want to challenge you to do a little comparison between Oliveira das Meias and Lisbon, which is obviously impossible to do, but we will try. And but about the team, when you got here, like you said, they were about to play Benfica in the same day, and also you got here with the competition already ongoing, but you had a warm welcoming, like you said. But when you got into the training field the first day and you looked around and you saw people, the other guys playing, were you in any way surprised by the quality of lack of it of your teammates? Or did
Well,
you know the level that you were about to find
I didn't
to
know
find in?
getting into, to be honest. Like me coming in, I was just like, I just wanted to play. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to earn my spot. I hear the stories about guys getting cut, getting sent home. That's the start. You know what I mean? Credit to my guy Eric Coleman. I learned a lot from him. It was just like you learn about the business. I didn't know nothing about the business coming in and that side of the game. And as far as talent, it goes is this like everybody's talented. Everybody can play. You know what I mean? Because they're professionals. So it varies on what you can do after that and how you what levels do you rise to and stuff like that. So for me coming in, I was just trying to learn. It's probably stubborn. I can't even really remember it anymore. It was just like it was a great time. So it was just all the practices and all the work we put in. It was a great learning experience for me the whole way through. So that was my mindset.
Okay, about the those 2 years. Well, Oliveira's made something that most people would consider impossible. In that video of when you came back to play with Sporting against Oliveiras, We interviewed a notable member of the Oliveirense fan base, and she was talking about the possibilities of making the being champions for the third time as something completely impossible, just like it was impossible to be two-time champion or even one time. So you did the impossible. Tell us a little bit about what you as a team went through during those 2 years to achieve the impossible.
We had it starts. We had great chemistry. The locker room was great. The guys meshed well. Everybody was there for a similar reason, a similar cause, and we were able to just stick together throughout the way, and go through ups and downs as a team. And winning was kind of like our common goal. So I think having like older players on the team that were familiar with each other and had that type of leadership about them, about themselves, and it was easy for me to get along and get a like to do what I needed to do because they like promoted that. They wanted me to do well because it made them well, and it was just best for everybody. So going through what it was you're beating these teams and stuff like that. You're having these great games. You're having a great season, and then somebody tells you like what's going on about other conditions at another place. So you're starting to like you have a chip on your shoulder. So that's kind of what drove us the whole way through is the fact that we knew we weren't the biggest budgeted team in the league, and that we still wanted to stick together and play for something more, and that was winning and to show people that it doesn't matter what type of team you're playing for, as long as you guys come together, you guys can win.
So, in a certain way, we can say that being the underdogs kind of works in your favor.
Oh yeah, totally. That's what we were looking for. Like that was our edge, especially for the guys that were playing and stuff. That was our edge. We wanted to beat you and show you that like no matter how much money you made, we were still coming to play.
Okay, so you made two incredible seasons. Unlike my colleague here, I pay absolutely no attention to the NBA.
Yeah.
I follow the Portuguese league, and that's pretty much it because I try to follow the Portuguese leagues of pretty much everything. So there's no much time left. But I had this idea, and I tried to confirm, and I think that I made it. That I confirmed it. That you every year that you stayed here, your average points per game increased from one year to the next. So you started with something like 12 or 13 points, then 14 or 16, and last season was your best season, but I just don't remember the number. I could check it here, but you actually make two great seasons. Like you said, the locker room was great, and you start to move to another places. Your colleagues moved some of them to Benfica. You moved to Sporting, a brand new team. Tell us how it was to be in a team that basically started from zero.
For me, it was interesting because I really didn't know James was coming too. So when James signed, I felt like that was another thing that was like great for me to just be comfortable and when I came in and I met the guys and everybody that was there, I knew I was familiar with a lot of the Portuguese guys that were there and going to be there. So it was easy. I'm an easy guy to get along with. So for me, it was just easy kind of to be out there and assume. But the hardest thing was probably just kind of assume how the play was going to be and who was going to be what and what we were going to do and the way we were going to play. And for me, as a guy, I feel like my game is just going to be something that's going to be constant, and I'm going to give you what I have. So for me, like elevating and trying to do, that's something I've done in my career. If you look back, it's been since like my first year in college, I've always tried to like elevate based on the level or where I'm at. So me rising to that occasion has just been about the situation that I've been put in. I was at, what I mean? Like my team looked for me to do those type of things and be that type of player. So that's what it was mainly about, just rising to the occasion, getting better as a person, getting better as a player, and then being able to just translate that to the court and help guys win. And so that's like the biggest change in the whole thing for me.
Well, that was you ended up making a pretty good season until everything was shut down.
No.
You Sporting was doing great. Things were going, let's say, according to plan. How was it? I probably know the answer because I've been asking this for the past 3 months to everyone. But how does it feel as an athlete when everything is going just great? You just have to stop and everything gets canceled, and it doesn't matter if you did a good season or not. There's nothing coming from it.
Well, honestly, for me, getting to that point, I had learned a lot already in my whole career had changed by that point. You know what I mean? And just to see how things were progressing and what we could have did and how things it sucked. It really sucked, and like I was disappointed. But honestly, at the time, I was actually hurt. You know what I mean? Going through an injury, so I'm playing hurt, and I actually had like time to heal and get
So,
things together. So it was it was a blessing in disguise, and you get to learn more about yourself. So for me, it's just been a learning experience going through COVID and all that type of stuff, and having basketball taken away, and to have it back now is like you're more grateful for it. So you want to take advantage of the days more. You want to take advantage of your workouts, and you want to do more. So actually, for me, in hindsight, just looking at it now, it's just like it's been beautiful to have it. You know what I mean? Because you realize what you really want.
yeah, but about what you just mentioned about making the most out of the practices and the workouts, how does it feel after so much time without um, being able to practice as a team? How does it feel to finally, after like I believe it's been 4 months,
Yeah.
how does it feel? Is it
It still fucking hurts, man. It's still painful. It's still everything that you wanted it to be. It's still everything. It's back. It feels normal, and like dealing with it, you just like in your mind, you're just kind of being like more appreciative of it. You want to go through it more enthusiasm. Maybe the workouts you didn't want to do, you're just a little bit happier about it because it was taken away from you for a second. So you got to be grateful for what you have now.
well, I think that in general, as a society, if we don't do that, being grateful for what we have from now on after this, we've failed because that's I think that if we've learned anything from this, it's that. But we will get to everything else that is going wrong in society in just a few moments. But looking forward, you're going to your fourth season in Portugal, like we mentioned. The second one with Sporting. What are the goals for this season? Is the team looking to the top of the table, of course, or what?
Well, I mean, honestly, the goal for us is to win everything, every game. Every time we step on the court, we want to win. That's our goal. With us playing in Champions League or not playing in Champions League, being able to be in the qualifier to possibly play in Champions League, that's big for us. That's big for our club, and that's big for what we want to do moving forward. So right now, looks can be deceiving. Everybody looks good on Instagram. So right now, we just want to we're building day by day. Brick by brick. So we got the pieces to make something happen, and we just need to have the same energy and be on the same accord, and we can get things moving. But for us, everything is about just trying to win and being on the highest level because it looks good for everybody, and everybody can get what you.
Well, just a little. Let's come back to Oliver Desmais.
Yeah.
And this is the moment where I kind of challenge you to try and tell us what's the big difference between living in Lisbon now and living in Oliveira das Meias before. Well, let's just assume that Oliveira das Meias is not Georgia.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better, I presume.
No.
Never been to Georgia. But what's the main difference between Lisbon and Oliveira das Meias?
Um. What?
You can talk. You're free, man. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Believe me.
Well,
Because if you don't have anything bad to say about Oliver das Meias, you can ask me, and I will give you a long list of things. So
Well, for starters, I have Uber Eats. You know what I mean? So Uber Eats food. There's more options to eat and stuff like that. But I think that there's a lot of places to see and a lot of things to be able to do. So for me personally, that's what that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of more options to see. My time in Olivieta was very nice because I was like, you know, I didn't know nothing outside of that, so that's what I seen, and that's great for me. So I enjoyed it. My walks from my house, my apartment to the gym, those were dope. So I was really into the views and really into like what nature looked like, and it's a beautiful city. So I enjoyed that, but you know what I mean? That like after 2 years you're kinda like, damn, I see the same fountain every time. So like it's like, you know, you learn more, you see more, and like being in Lisbon is just it's definitely a lot more exposure. There's a lot more things you can get into. So it works both on both ends, and it's just, you know, there's a lot of more pressures and stuff like that in every place you be at. So it's just whether or not you wanna be, you know, who you wanna be. So everything is cool. I like Oliveira though. I like Oliveira. I like the small comfort of being, you know, you could be yourself in a small area. That was great too. You know, people see you all the time. You build relationships with restaurants, and in Lisbon, you kind of see somebody one day, you might not see him ever again.
it's basically the only good thing. It's a good thing and a bad thing
It's
that
both. It's both.
everybody knows everybody,
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
and you know there's absolutely nothing else to do here but talk. And people talk a lot, and but Oliver is kind of stuck. People are ecstatic because we are going to have a Burger King, which is like whoa here.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna have a Burger King like 700 meters from the gym or something,
Yeah, yeah.
but we
And we
don't have
have,
it.
and now we have Uber Eats too. We have Uber Eats right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
He don't have the Uber Eats. Don't go to
we,
his house, but
we
we
kind
have.
of
Yeah.
we kind of have
Yeah,
Uber Eats
yeah, yeah.
because when I tried to order, they didn't know where they ordered it from. But we kind of have Uber Eats. But well, it was you mentioned you totally right. You know, Lisbon is a whole other world. You know, I've been to Lisbon a couple of times. Never got to live there. Never wanted because I wanted. When I went there, everyone like you know the underground, the metro stations and everything. It seems like everyone is in a race,
Oh,
and
oh, it's bad.
the, it's awful. I don't want that for me. But it's an whole other world for you guys. I believe that's better. And plus, you probably got to get together with a lot of guys that play in other teams like Benfica, for you, I believe that it was great. However, people really love you here, and when you came back to play with Sporting, I was kind of surprised during the game because everyone in the stands was when you had the ball, they was like booing
Yeah.
and calling you names. And afterwards, everyone wanted a selfie, and I was more or less because I said, how can these people hate this guy? This guy, he gave everything and he left because well, that's life.
Yeah.
But everyone loves you here. That's huge, and I would like to use that to move here to my friend Lorraine because we seem to have a question on Facebook from a guy here in Oliveira das Mães that wants you to talk about something. Lorraine, please.
Yes we have. You and Coleman were spotted watching a hockey game against Porto Oliveirense, in the public. How was it to watch another sport of your club of Oliveirense? How was the energy of the gym in that sport compared to yours, if you can make the comparison?
It was great. It was great. Going to those hockey games, that stretch that we did that, it was nice, man. They invited us in. They accepted us, and they wanted us to be there rooting for them. And we actually felt like we were making a difference when we were there. God, you know, it felt like they were just winning. So we were
Yeah,
trying to
yeah, yeah.
bring that type of game. And you know, we're all part of that club. So when you're part of the club, you take in everything, and that's what it's about. You know, supporting everybody, every sport. It's the club, and that's what it's about.
Uh,
Plus, there was not much you had to do in Oliveira das Mães because there's nothing else to do. But Tell us, taking that because you apparently you are a guy who really likes to watch things. Tell us about that time where you thought it was a good idea to go and watch your friends play for Benfica, and things didn't quite go according to plan.
Well, initially, it was a great idea. I felt like since it was a Champions League game, you know what I mean, that it was neutral because I'm supporting Portugal. You know what I mean? If Benfica wins that game and they do well in Champions League, and then I go play Benfica and I do well versus Benfica, that's good for me in the limelight. You know what I mean? So that's how I looked at it, and I'm supporting Arnett and Eric. Those are like my mentors when it came to how I approach this basketball stuff and the business side of it. So that was I was going there for support, and what really happened is I was there for a good amount of time. It just happened at halftime. Some kids came up. They must have seen me, and they came up to ask for a picture. And then like 10 more came at the same time, and respectfully so. What I mean, people call them hooligans and all that type of stuff, but they're there supporting their club, and I understand that you're on the wrong turf, and I get that principle of it. You know what I mean? I know I'm familiar with the street code, so I understand that. But it was just it got out of hand a little bit, so I kind of laughed it off. But it was nice getting a little police escort to the other, cool. But I didn't really want it to blow out or be something bigger than it was, and I didn't ask for it or nothing like that. But it just what comes with it, It comes with it.
Dude, well, this is interesting because it actually shows a difference in mentality. You mentioned that you thought that you were supporting Portugal, bro. People from Sporting and from Porto, they don't even believe that Benfica belongs in Portugal. So that's the thing. If I was in the United States, I would never imagine that I was playing for someone in Los Angeles. I would never think about going to watch a game from people from New York or something, because I would believe that they would kill me, and they probably wouldn't. But here,
Nope.
you have that problem. You can't do that. Don't ever do that.
No, I learned that.
So you've never tried to go and watch your friends from Benfica.
I will never attend another basketball game, and you know what I mean, unless I'm playing for a different something. No, there will be none of that.
What about other sports? I know people who in other type of sports they represent Sporting, and I believe that the club encourages their athletes from the different sports to go and support their colleagues from other sports, like guys from athletics that show up on basketball matches or soccer matches. Have you ever done the same thing that you did here in Oliveiras and go and watch soccer or something from Sporting?
I was able to catch. I caught a hockey game. I was able to catch a couple volleyball games. I supported the. I think I went to a women's hockey game one time. Actually, I could be lying there, but I don't know. But I try to get out and do this. Sometimes I'm lazy and I don't really want to do it. But for the most part, I'm active on social media with supporting my fellow sport people. So getting out to those games and seeing the competition is dope for me. I like to see how people attack the game, how they play, and could I see my sport? Oh, I seen handball too. Handball is really dope. I like handball and futsal. That's futsal. I love futsal. So you start to being here for so long, you start to build that type of that love for the game and stuff like that. So I'm a football fan now too. So I like it all. I'm gonna try to catch as much as I can and learn more about it. And that's kind of the best thing about being a competitor, is learning more about other sports.
Yeah. Have you ever tried go to a soccer match between Sporting and Benfica?
No, I did not. I haven't went to those. No.
Well, you should try. I'm not a supporter from neither one nor the other, and I would really like to be there. But then again, I might be actually kicked out of the stadium like you were. But
yeah. No, you don't want that.
No, I don't want that. But you should try, because the atmosphere is great.
It's dope.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of have another question in the comments, Lorena.
Yes, we
Please.
have. Yes, we have. Inês Maya asks you, what's your biggest inspiration inside and out of the court?
I just actually answered this question
Yeah.
this yesterday. For me right now, it's like it changes over time. It's kind of like comes from the same basis, you know. But for me right now, it's just like my family being able to like be in a position to change things for my family, change things for other people, and just like change things for myself and give myself a great life and enjoy shit for myself, nice weather, nice waters, nice houses, nice stuff, and like give back and give, you know, the same thing at the same time that I'm enjoying myself. So that's kind of like my biggest inspiration for me right now, on and off the court. I just want to give and still get mine at the same time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, picking up on that, and I just noticed that you have that shirt on you. Tell us about that well connected thing. That's it's your handle in pretty much every social media. I
Yeah.
got as I started to follow you on social media, pretty much every platform. I started to understand a little bit of what it means. But please tell us about it.
I mean, I don't really know what it means, but it's kind of provocative, you know what I mean? Now, I mean, for me, kind of started a couple years ago. It was something that like I was really at a point where I was traveling, doing things, and then I kind of like realized that I was broke and I didn't have no money or nothing like that. And I was like, how am I doing this type of stuff? You know what I mean? How am I making these, like doing things and like my life is good and I'm happy and things are well. And I just like it coined it in my head, like, you know, there's probably other people out there with me, but like for me, this is what it meant for me. And it's like I'm just well connected, you know. The relationships that I've built with people have been strong, and I've nurtured those relationships. They water me, I water them, and that kind of whole concept is just taking it to a point to where it's more of a lifestyle now, and it's well connected lifestyle to a certain extent. Where like I want to build that with other people, and I realize that if we kind of come together in a sense, and no matter what you are, who you are, whatever it is, you can build that because it's good for everybody, especially if there's, you know, benefits for both sides. So it's just kind of about, you know, going through this journey with other people and keeping the things and stuff like all about yourself, and then still being about everybody else, and iron sharpen iron, learning from each other and building, because like boring being here in the, you know, being here in the world alone by yourself. So it's kind of like cool to have other people with
Yeah, so good relationships is actually what is going to move people forward.
you. Facts.
That's the summary. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, let's move back to basketball. Following these little notes that I have here. Um, let's talk a little bit about the difference in the game and the people in the game, like the referees and everything that you found here that you didn't find in the states.
You know what? It's funny. Like I love the referees here. You know, I think for me personally, it's just like, I mean, like I enjoy it. You know, I mean, for me, it's the high level I played at right now. So I can talk about high school refs in the States. Like my experience in the States really is kind of like a blur. Like I know where I've been at the last couple of years, but dealing with Portuguese refs, it's funny that I'm like, you know, starting to be able to pick up things, and like my development over the years. They'll probably tell you like I was a little bit more, you know, this way, you know, a little bit more disrespectful probably in the beginning of my years, and now I've the way to talk and try to be kind of like, you know, as part of well connected too, just being able to communicate and not be able to like, you know, understand that these people are humans too, and that they have, you know, emotions and stuff built up too. So like for them to come, you know, to their job and then be disrespected at their job while they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's, you know, it would be crazy for me to think that I would be the only one out there with emotions and stuff like that. So for me, it's just dope. I got some good relationships. I get the "Hey, Mr. Williams" now, and you know, you know, I talk a little Portuguese with them, and you know, things are smooth. So I enjoy it.
But how about communication? I know that some referees don't like to communicate very much. Mainly when we talked to Barbosa, he told us that characteristic was actually something that was really present in the European competitions and in the rest of Europe. The Portuguese were more easygoing and
Yeah.
was how how different are our referees from the ones you found in the US? Are ours more open-minded or open to communication, or less?
I think it depends on the day, it depends on the game. I'd be crazy to tell you that because like there's days, well, I think with the relationship, it kind of depends on the player too, who you are, what type of, what I mean. There's that plays a factor, but for me, I think the relationships and what's different is just like they are more understanding, and I've had like better conversations, and they'll kind of come back to you and like go over things and see if they missed the call. So it is a little bit more understanding on this side, and the only thing I don't really, the physicality I want to spice up a little bit more, but I think overall it's great.
About that physicality that you mentioned, are our players physically at the closer or far from the level that you had back in the States?
Well, I
Are
mean,
we?
I can't compare myself to a lot of other people. You know what I mean? I'm a little bred different, so my physicality level. If it's no blood, there's no foul. That's not me. But, you know, but for the most part, I think the physicality level you just kind of want to play. When you're dealing with guys that are high level players. Uh, for me personally, I would want to see it just some things kind of tune up a little bit about how things are kind of looked at and what, because in America it's a sense of like you play basketball and it's like a sense of you. I think as a player it's hard for you to play basketball, play hard, and be out here. You got your coaches, you got this is your job, this is your livelihood, as it is for the referee as well. But being from America, coming here and wanting to play this type of way, and guys, not you not feeling like you're getting like respected at the same time. I think that was a problem I see with a lot of Americans when they come overseas. It's just kind of like they feel like they're not getting, but it's about body language and communication the whole way through. So some of those guys that are getting these ticky tack fouls or getting technicals for things that are not necessarily crazy, but they're still getting easier fouls or easier technicals. It's really based on how you kind of play the game, because you got to be able to you got to be able to do both if you really want to be good. You got to talk to refs, be on them, and back off at the same time.
Okay. Well, we I had to ask this to Barbosa, but I'm going to ask you the reverse. I asked him what he thought was the main characteristic of the American basketball player. I'm going to ask you what you think is the main characteristic of the Portuguese basketball player.
The main characteristic of the Portuguese basketball player, I would say, Portuguese basketball players understand the wave of like kind of the tide of the game. They understand basketball to a point where it's like they understand, like there's a waves. Basketball goes in waves, and they can understand. They can read the game a little bit more. And I think a lot of Americans get out here and sometimes, and they're maybe like physically gifted, but not necessarily all the way intelligent about the game. So I would credit the Portuguese about their way of thinking about the game, seeing basketball, knowing time to do certain things, and understanding basketball.
Well, and I'm going to ask you if you can guess what Barbosa said it was the main characteristic of the American player.
I hope he said the same thing, probably.
No, actually I believe he talked about the competitive mentality that you have,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
is far superior than ours, because I believe that it's
I mean,
you.
know
Yeah,
exactly why that is. That's really 100% because of the quality of life that the Americans that are sent that get the opportunity to come play overseas, their outlook on life for me, for coming from our perspective, I would say that the quality of life in Portugal is really good. So guys don't necessarily have to like work extremely hard to try to like be in this league if you're Portuguese. You know what I mean? So like they can take summers off and they don't have the time to like worry about getting a job, so to say. So like for Americans, it's kind of like you're crab in a barrel. You're just trying to get up and jump in and get wherever you can fit in. So I think and that's a credit to Portugal just being like a beautiful country with great everything. So like people are kind of content. It's kind of like what I got the beach right there. I got a nice life. Make this X amount of money, and I can be cool with my life. So I feel like the perspective just changes coming from like lower economic places where you're just like shit. I'm coming here to just make enough money to get out of here. That's like the whole point. You know what I mean? Guys come, we're trying to get to Euro League where they're paying six figures and stuff like that. So that's like the jump. That's like the perspective of like Americans versus Portuguese.
Well, I never thought of that way. I was more like I thought that it was because of the quality and that you guys have in schools.
Oh fuck no, fuck no. It's less about that. It's more just about literally. I think it's just that God. The pressure is not necessarily on to be that. I would like for basketball. I would say that's the outlook I have. Like, there's a lot of talent in Portugal when it comes to you guys as basketball players, but I just don't feel like they're being taught necessarily the right like things that are catching up with Americans that they're being taught. You know what I mean? At the same age. So like Americans are learning this at this age. Portuguese aren't learning that until about 18, and these guys are learning that 9 because there's like an initiative to push towards that. Like we want our guys to be like NBA players from the get. You know what I mean? We're not just trying to be a guy that plays for Benfica or no disrespect,
Yeah.
but like that's the you don't go to the NBA from America like that's like oh wow you kind of failed so to say. So that's a perspective.
I thought that that was my opinion. I was always blaming that on the level that you guys have when you're training kids. And my sport is rugby, and I make the same analogy with guys from New Zealand. We have, if you watch a rugby game with 15-year-old kids in New Zealand, their level of intensity is far higher than we have here in the senior level, because they start playing with 5 years old, and if they don't make to the top regional team, they fail. And here we don't have that, and that's why when we played New Zealand in the World Cup, we lost from 100 and something to 20 something. And to us it was huge to score a try. I was watching at home and I actually cried when we scored a try, and it was already 50 something to 5. But that's the level, because we don't get to teach kids from an early age, and that was. But your perspective is more sociologically correct, and it's very 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 accurate. Well, Loreto, is there something else? I believe there is something else in the comment.
Yeah, we have a question for you from Bruno Zola, that is a Sporting fan. He's asking you how is to feel to dress that beautiful jersey.
I mean, it's dope. It's amazing to be one of the first people wearing it. In the last 20 years or whatever. It's dope to be, a face of something, and it's amazing. I respect the people that helped me put it on. Everybody like that, from the Jersey boy to the janitors. Everything is pretty good. I love it. I enjoy it. I like going to work, so it's good.
All right.
Do understand that if one day you decide, because that's life of a professional athlete, to move to Benfica or Porto, you're gonna get a lot of hate. You understand that?
To level up, Porto is a great city, if you know what I mean. So just saying.
I'm asking you this because probably if you were in America, do you think that moving to a rival team will get you the same amount of hate that probably moving from Sporting to Benfica will get you here?
Probably not, but I mean they hated Jesus, man. So everybody gets hate. If you're doing something good, you're gonna get some hate. So whether I don't know what decisions I'm sporting down right now, but I don't know what decisions are going up, But actually, one thing I do would have to say is I did win 2 championships. I was a part of 2 championships in Oliveira, so I didn't just win. And I mean, there was opportunities and times to for people to shoot their shot. So if you don't shoot, you don't score. So I'm scoring that right now. So I'm happy.
That's good. That's good. Well, I have pretty much one thing more to ask you about basketball before we move to more complicated stuff, but that also has direct interference with the sport. But when it comes to NBA or the EuroLeague or the European Champions League here. Um, well, I was kind of surprised that the first time that we interviewed Barbosa and we talked about basketball in our channel, that most people would also, or some people would pick the European competition over the NBA. Is that your call, or you still prefer the NBA?
I mean, if I had like a job opportunity to go play in the NBA or EuroLeague, I would take my NBA contract and say goodbye. But like for me personally, it's just kind of like it's all about perspective. So it's like, what do you see as the sights? I enjoy the European style of basketball, and I think it fits my game more. You know what I mean? Not being so crazy athletic. I think that the European style of basketball, the fans are great. You get like a smaller NBA styled like atmosphere, but the overall is like, the NBA is the highest level. That's where the most elite guys are. That's where LeBron is at. That's where Kevin Durant's at. So it's like that's where you would, that's the cream of the crop if you want to play. That's how I look at it. So for me, I would, being in not being in that situation, but that's what it looks like for me.
Yeah. What you mentioned that our style, if I understood correctly, you mentioned that European style of basketball is less athletic. Is that what you said?
Yeah, for the most part. For the most part, I mean, like there's you get your guys that are they're still athleticism. These guys are not like just can't do anything, but the athleticism that the Americans have are usually just off the charts or whatever. But I think the European style of basketball is more team oriented. It's very smart, and like these guys play up to they're 38 years old, 39 years old because they know the game and they still can be out there and succeed. So that's the biggest test.
Yeah. Well, Sporting is playing the qualifiers for the European Champions League. Um, you are hoping to make it to the big stages. And what are your expectations? Is there a team that you would like to face in the European Champions League, or are you just taking it all?
Hey, I'm just taking it day by day. I'm here with Sporting. All my thoughts are just about what can we get better at practice. Okay, the next day, the next time we play somebody, I try not to even worry about the schedule too much. These guys tell me where to go. I just want to show up and do my job and make my team win. So when it's time to play, whoever we play in the qualifiers, Freeburg, it's all about just what we can do because everybody's been off right now. It's been a weird time for everybody. So the best thing you can do in these situations is worry about yourself. So worrying about what we have going on in our locker room, how we're building with our guys, and what we're doing is the key factor to the team that can oil the best and be together the most is going to be the team that succeeds in these weird, awkward times playing on neutral courts. And there might be no fans. Who knows what the situation is going to be? It's going to be about keeping your team together.
Is there a date already for those matches?
I think they issued a date the other night. It should be, I think, the 23rd. We'll be playing a neutral site in Bulgaria versus Freiburg. I forgot which country they're from, Switzerland or something like that. Something like that.
Yeah. Well, we actually have a question on our comments that I am going to ask Lorraine to not give it right now because it's something that we will talk about.
I know it.
I asked you when we talked a couple of days ago if it was okay for us to talk a little about the situation in the United States, and something came up last night as me and Lorraine were making a live stream here on the channel while playing Grand Theft Auto and talking about basketball and soccer, which has nothing to do with it. But the news just broke that first Milwaukee was boycotting the game, and then everyone else was not playing because of the events that were going on. Before we talked about the events themselves, I would like to ask you what you thought about the decision of not playing, which is pretty much the question that the person left in the comments. What do you think about it? Do you think
About
it's the right call?
the NBA not playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. About the boycott.
I think that's a big stand. I think that it's great for those guys with that type of that space and platform to stand up for what's going on and the injustices that are going on. And I think it's something that they need to think about. And it's going to put people on the fence. It's going to put a lot of people. You're going to see what the enemies that are under the coat. But I feel like the NBA is doing the right thing, and I think they have like a great organization that's like pushing the right initiative. They're supporting their players and they're supporting what they're saying. So hopefully their voices are heard and change can come through.
Do you think that this boycott later? Major League Soccer did the exact same thing today. They decided not to have any games because of the things that were going on. Do you think that these boycotts are going to can really change anything, or are they just going to be looked like a pitch of salt?
First things first, man. When you're dealing with money, that's power, that's control. So you're playing with people's money right now. So them stopping it, that's TV time, that's TV, that's all these sponsorships that are getting canceled. That's a lot of things that can shift the tide. So if these people care about the powers that are in control, if they understand that their money's being messed with, I think there could be a change. And it possibly can go the other way, and they could be back playing tomorrow, and nothing really happened or anything like that. So, it's just like only time will tell.
It's decided. Tomorrow the games are back on. Back on. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's decided. There will not be any games today, but tomorrow they will restart the playoffs.
okay,
So
yeah, back on.
yeah,
Well, let's talk a little about the things that led to this, because I believe that it's important to everyone to understand the point of view of someone who's actually from there, and you have been there recently. I believe I saw
Yeah.
a photo of you in one of the Black Lives Matter protests. Um, Something happened just yesterday and the day before, which was really ugly. Man, just tell us how are things there from on the first person, because everything we get here comes filtered in the news, and you know how manipulative those guys can be. So tell us a little bit about how it is the situation in America right now.
Well, I think the biggest thing to understand is that America is very big, and that there are certain things that go on in certain places that doesn't necessarily affect other places, but the climate of what's really going on is just like, yo, cops are killing black people. Black people are at a disadvantage in a lot of places when it comes to housing, just making money, just the whole overall. Like if life was a game, they start with negative. So I think with the change, like I don't even necessarily like to. I try not to repost like the violence that I see on social medias, but just it's important to be like awoke and aware of what's going on. But I think that like when you take the second, it's just like damn, they're actually shooting people, and then you're seeing videos of other people like other white people not being killed for doing similar things, and it's just like so traumatizing. And I feel like people and young black kids, and it's traumatizing for them to see because social media is everything that we have now. You know what I mean? And I know if I'm on my phone a lot, I know these kids are on their phones a lot. So like for them to be able to see this stuff and have it be so in their face all the time, it can stunt your growth. And so I just really like, for me, I think I see what's going on, and I realize that like this shit's been happening for a long time. The disadvantage has been there for a long time, and so forever. So I just feel like not forever actually, because there was a time, but for the most part, it's just like, yo, what can I do now in these situations? I don't want to be the guy that just sits there, like, like I said, the NBA just comes back on today. Did anything happen? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe there's an extra rest day, but like, I always wanted to like pride myself on action and just figuring out ways that I can be effective. And so I take what's going on out there in the world and I realize, like, shit, this is bad. There's not a lot of stuff that I can do necessarily based on the resources that I have at this moment, but what I can do is like plot and plan and figure out how I'm going to like empower the people around me so this doesn't happen to them, and they can spread that, and hopefully it just goes like a germ, and like, the good one, and it just helps everybody. Like, yo, we're just going to empower each other, because a lot of people that get, they're not murdering people that are just driving and shit like that. You know what I mean? They're killing people that are like middle class people. Essentially, they're not necessarily like rich people are not dying. There's no NBA players that are being shot in their car, like the situations that are going on. So it's important that we figure out. It's not like, oh, we have to get money to stop them from killing us, because killing us is the problem. They shouldn't be killing anybody like that. So there's a lot of shit that has to be broken down, structural, and like they have to, the world has to figure it out itself. I think the best way for individuals is to kind of like take it within themselves and figure out how can they be better. What shit do they tolerate? You know what I mean? Things that you hear. What do you try to feed your mind? What do you feed yourself? And what do you feed your people? And I think that's like the biggest take that I have on it. Is like, yeah, shit's gonna be crazy. It's always been crazy. What are you gonna do to help? How do you help? Or what can you do based on, what you have, or what you can possess? And there's endless possibilities on what we can do individually. And I think you just start within yourself and help people from close, and better your family and better your people.
Well, you mentioned something that I really thought it was interesting, and it's something that I've been hearing other people mention, that this is something that has been happening for a long time, and we're just hearing it now.
Yeah.
Why is it that we are listening to or watching this right now? Is it because the people in power are actually feeding this fire with more
Yeah.
hate?
Wait. You didn't tell me where. Okay, so check this out. I have my own little theory, but like, I personally think that like, every time something's always. I think this would help my career too. I always looked at what was going on, and I always wanted to like kind of do the opposite of what was like happening. So them feeding this fear, I feel like the powers that be them. I feel like this fear is meant to stop you from like. You can look at it two ways. Like, if a guy is fouling you a lot and hacking you, you can look at it like, yo, damn, he's hurting me, he's hitting me, he's doing this all the time, ref's not calling nothing. Or you can look at it as a sign of respect. He knows he has to play you like that. He knows he has to be all up on you. So like, it's weird to say. It's kind of, but like, yo, they're killing black people at a high rate, and they're doing this stuff. But it's necessarily like, yo, because you're so powerful. So I think the fear is supposed to kind of stunt your growth and keep you in a box. And the opposite that needs to be done is just like explore yourself more, figure out more about yourself, and test your abilities more, because that can be what happened. You know what I mean? That could be the flop for you. You can turn into the butterfly from that.
Yeah, that is a great take, and that is something that we never heard here in Portugal. We the things. The thing, you probably see this. The way the news portrays what is going on is with people. The people are the way feeding that fear because they think that you have power. I think that it's kind of accurate, because they're actually afraid of what black people can achieve if they're
Yeah.
not like that.
The,
And that's a great take.
Doc Rivers, the manager, the coach of the Celtics, said something like that. The people, they are afraid of what the black community can do on the states, and the take of it. The thing that he said, that is the take of the conversation was, I only want to coach. So yeah, it's accurate what you said. Yeah, it's very accurate.
And the thing is, here in Portugal, we have the exact same problem.
Yeah,
The thing is, nobody is shooting anyone.
yeah,
Yeah,
But we still,
this is the
the
yeah,
people in power still try to block, um, still try to block people in the lower tiers of society to reach up, to
yeah,
get up, and
it's a global thing, man. It's
yeah,
something that's like it's worldwide. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like there's this discrimination, there's this hate, there's this all that because it's. I always looked at it like, okay, so if I was in like hella power and had all this, I look at it as a survival technique for the opposite side. Even though it's not right, you know, it's not necessarily wrong, but like there's like has to be. I'm trying to be the benefit. Like I'm trying to be like giving them the benefit of the doubt on why. You know, it's out of being scared. It's a survival technique. It's like, yo, I gotta kill them because they're taking away from me. You know, you feel like you're losing. So it's like part of the ego that the humankind is just kind of shunned down. Is just the fact that like, yo, you're not that cool. You know, there is enough for everybody out there in this world,
yeah.
and you know, if you work hard, you can have some certain things, but
It's it's
advantage.
a, it ends up being a defense mechanism of some sort.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just you know, and that's how they take it. Power is addictive. Power to have that type of shit is what you know drives these people to do these things, and then there's real hate. Hate is real, you know. So people really hate people, and they really have you know this type of things in their hearts. So it's important that we just educate ourselves mentally to like think outside of the box to where you can try to tap in because the truth is the truth and this shit is just blatant. You know what I mean? So anybody that's being ignorant to what the disadvantages are set against black people and minorities is just they're clueless and they enjoy it. So it's that's how I look at it. So it's their defense. That's what they're doing.
Well, it's I'm actually glad that you had this conversation because I think that is really enlightening to people who get fed only the news and
News,
this is
news has a job. The news has their job
of
too.
course.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they have their agenda to what they need to push because they're fueled by you know how do they get their paychecks? Where do they make their money from? They get paid to do shit too. So it's nobody's necessarily wrong unless you know better. You know what I mean? So they're doing their job thinking that they're just reporting the news when you know there's a whole agenda being pushed on how
Of
they
course.
or how they want to look at.
That's why the internet and places like this, not necessarily sports, but are a great platform to spread these alternative ways of seeing
Gotta be
things.
open. You gotta be first. You gotta be open to actually
Yeah.
even go search
Yeah, yeah,
information, think out like this. If you have to be able to open to receive the information.
yeah. Well, okay. To just we kind of got lost in all this, but I was going to ask you just to starting to pull down the curtain on the podcast because we've been here for 90 minutes already.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you something that is actually the base of our project, which are the stories that go on behind the curtain. Those funny stories, like the one that Barbosa told us about you on Christmas, when you showed up dressed as Santa to play with the kids in the day of a very important game. Are there what are the funniest stories that you keep from your time here in Oliveira's life?
Okay, the best time. Well, I've had a lot of times in other days. I mean, it's so like it's very tough to think about it right now. But I will go with you want something basketball related, hopefully. Um,
I want everything you can give me that is funny. Well, and you feel free to tell us because I know that some of the stories cannot be told on camera or recorded.
I would definitely take those ones to the grave. Um, I think that you know, a funny story. What's a funny story, Travante? I've had a lot of funny stories, dude. Too many funny stories. I think one of my best stories is probably showing up to practice. Well, yeah, we showed up to practice in so many outfits. Well, showing up to practice in my cow outfit, that was one of my dopest ones. I used to take pride in showing up to the game and like thinking to myself like, what were my teammates gonna like trip over? So like any outfit that I came to practice with was like kind of my thing. So there's been several times like that. But one time it was during Carnival. Me and Eric showed up and like he had like the blue hair, the Dragon Ball Z outfit on, and I had like this cow outfit.
Was that showing to practice dressed like that? Was that something that you did before, or was something that started here?
Well, I think no, you don't really have the opportunity to do it. It's kind of like the people being so open and welcoming in Portugal and Oliveira that it was like you felt comfortable to do what be yourself and kind of like live your life. So they were welcoming to it, and it was good. The locker room was great, so it was cool.
Do you still do this here in
I come a little bit more. I try to be a little bit more grown and sexy out here in Lisbon. You know what I mean? So I try to do a little shirts and stuff like that. But no.
It's different. Well, okay, man. Well, there are a lot of things that people expect of guys like you, and by that I mean when we were there reporting on the game between Sporting and Oliveirense, I kind of had my eyes and my camera on you for a big amount of time because you are an incredible energy. Even when you're outside the match, you're constantly screaming at your colleagues, incentivizing them, and I believe that having a guy like you in the locker room is really, really important in all aspects. And I think that I made a post on Instagram a couple of days before that game that I used a video of you screaming at your colleagues after the game because that game was really intense and it actually had extra time and you won by 1 point. And I said that if Friday was a day, it would be. If Friday was a person, it would be Travante Williams.
Yeah.
So, and I think that it's kind of unanimous. Well, we actually close this podcast with Loureiro asking you a couple of quick questions, basically one word answers, and if you need to give me more than one word, it's kind of cool. Normally they are pretty basic questions. Sometimes Loureiro is on a bad day and gives you another bad one, but I believe that he's kind of nice. I'm gonna give him the word and he will make the questions, you'll give him the answers, and we are all set.
Let's do it.
Okay, right now, I'm talking about all the games that you play with, pickup games, championship games, college games, wherever game you play, you can answering of that games. So, best player you play against?
James Elliser.
Best player you play with?
James Elliser.
The best game you ever played?
31 points, Benfica.
With Oliveirense or Sporting?
Yeah, no, sheesh. Okay, damn. It's between that 31 points versus Benfica and for the championship, and then it's versus the 30 points versus Benfica. Well, it's versus Benfica, I don't know. It was like, or versus Benfica Sporting last year.
Yeah. Okay, the funny guy you play with?
Funniest guy has to go for João Guerreiro.
I know that guy. Now a different kind of question. Draft. Do you consider it?
I mean, shit, I'm a little bit late now, but always making it to the top leagues is it's the goal, it's the drive.
Yeah.
They come calling, I answer the call.
The best game that you ever seen in live?
Probably my first NBA game I ever watched was when I was in 8th grade. I watched Gilbert Arenas do something crazy to the Seattle Supersonics when they were still in Seattle.
Yeah, I remember that game too. I remember it. Arenas, yeah. The question that everyone in the basketball world want to know: MJ or LeBron? Who's the GOAT?
You can't really hate on the first guy to do it, but it's not about who did it first; it's about who did it right. And I think LeBron James does it the best way.
Why? Why is that? Why LeBron?
Just he's active in all type of ways, and like if you thought about the game of basketball in a totality, he kind of puts together the whole masterpiece of the game. He's not just a scorer.
Yeah.
He can go for scoring if he wants to. He's just too multifaceted.
Yeah, let me just because LeBron is my guy too. I love LeBron. It's the goat to me. But do you think that MJ will be that good in this era, and LeBron will be this good in the MJ era?
It'll be like a flop. Like MJ would do great in this era,
Yeah.
and Ron would do like overly amazing in that era. So it's like the real guy is Kevin Durant. He's like the best scorer out of all of them. Like
Of all time.
Kevin Durant's just different. Like he's probably the alien of them all three.
Yeah, yeah, 7 foot tall and shit so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's it for me.
Well,
Sergio.
I'm gonna actually add two questions there, or you can give me just one. The best Portuguese player that you've played with and against.
Barbosa, and he's the best player I played with, and best Portuguese guy I played against. Who was tough giving me bucks? It's a toughie. It's a toughie. I want to say Carlos Andrade, but I don't. I want to say, yeah, Carlos Andrade made my life hell, man. Yeah, I would say he made my life tough for that first year I was here. Carlos Andrade. Nah, I don't want to go that. Okay, I'm gonna go Barbosa on, bro. I never played him. Okay, I mean in practice, I would say.
Yeah,
You know what? In practice, Renato. Renato is the hardest guy I've ever played against in practice.
well, okay, man. It was great having you. I don't like to do those things on over internet. I think it always goes better in person, but this was what we could do, and
Yeah.
it was great for us to have all your insights on the sport and on society as a whole, because it's always good to have another point of view. I really hope that people enjoyed it as much as I did.
Me too.
And,
Right. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
That's great to hear.
That's
Man,
what I want.
just to finish up, something that I was going to ask you, because it's something that I'm really, really excited about, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anything else that we've talked before. Are you a friend? Are you a fan of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yes, of course.
Did you know? Did you know that they are going to do a series with the exact same plot, but instead of a comedy, it's going to be a drama?
No.
It's going to be great. Well, check the trailer.
Yeah.
Check the trailer.
Yeah.
At the Will
check that
Smith
out.
channel, YouTube channel, in Will Smith, there is a video that talks about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I check
The,
that. out.
the trailer is great. The series might suck, but the trailer is great.
All right, I'll go with that. I'll go with that.
Well, it was Travante Williams, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Muito obrigado. Muito obrigado.
If you want to say something to just say goodbye to two people, you're free to
Yep.
say it.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Muito obrigado. Muito obrigado.
Man, best of luck to you in your career, and may you be the best team in the league next year, as long as you finish second and leave against it first. Okay?
All right.
Best of luck, man. Bye.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.